Hey guys, we're here at San Diego at the Convention Center to talk San Diego Comic-Con and specifically the Hasbro Exclusives booth. So every year this seems to be one of the more requested of our videos, is really looking at how the Hasbro system works and just any tips there. First off the top, definitely follow along with us online, Twitter, Facebook, all of that. San Diego Comic-Con unofficial blog, great source for all the information of what's going on with the exclusives. There'll be announcements all the way up to a day or two before the convention and sometimes even during the convention. So definitely follow along with them on their site, also in Twitter. Also with us, we do a lot of work with SDCC unofficial blog, but also parksandcons.com, and we will be tweeting a bunch of things, and we'll refer to a couple things that we might be able to help you out with during the convention to help you with Hasbro. So we're outside here of the sales pavilion. There's a big Cisco convention going on here, so we're only allowed to kind of be on the steps of things here, but we want to talk a little bit about how Hasbro works and kind of prepping for that. First off, big disclaimer, as with anything Comic-Con, check as you get there and verify information repeatedly online with volunteers, with booth employees and all that, because things change every year. I'll talk in a little bit about kind of how our Hasbro experience was significantly different last year, and it was all because of some major changes they made on preview night. So every piece of advice we're going to give, hopefully it works for you. We've gotten good responses in the past, but definitely always do your homework as you get there. We can't make any guarantees of what may change. This is our 8th year messing with Hasbro and dealing with the drama that is the Hasbro booth. Been fully successful all but 1 year. One year, a friend really wanted a My Little Pony exclusive. The Derpy was not able to get it. It was sold out by the time we got to the booth, and we were never able to get it. So, but for the most part, we've been pretty successful with things there. And so our techniques, and a lot of it is kind of thinking on your feet and kind of using what we're going to talk about here as a structure, have worked pretty well. So first off, let's just talk a little bit about mindset. We find a lot of times the people that watch our videos for preparation for San Diego don't necessarily do a ton of conventions, and if they do, they may not do a ton of exclusives. And so I want to talk a little bit about just the mindset of how exclusives work here. If you followed along with me in the past, we talk about this a lot, but it is a much more competitive atmosphere normally to get an exclusive at a place like Hasbro than it is even to get into a Hall H panel at Comic-Con. And the reason being is because many of the people you're competing with are not just fans, they are doing this as part of their livelihood. There's big teams of guys and girls that come down here and share rooms and split all of the cost, and they cannibalize the convention center. I've seen people steal signs from bathrooms to sell, all sorts of stuff, but what they're doing is trying to feed their families, pay their mortgages, and so you're battling it out with them. And so when you're making estimates on how much time something's going to require or how competitive it's going to be, keep that in mind. Hasbro in particular has great resale value. Things don't really go down in cost. Mattel, a lot of things, if you wait them out, they come down a little bit over time. Hasbro, not so much the case. We see it, hit consistently high numbers across many of their lines because they do have a lot of those classic franchises that have just have a built-in fan base across the country. And so consider that as well as you're thinking about, well, maybe I'll just eBay things afterwards. First off, probably the most important thing to talk about is we're here on the footsteps of where you will ultimately draw your ticket for Hasbro, is what days should I line up for it? So you obviously have preview night, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll talk a little bit about how selling out works and what to consider there, but I would focus on really Friday this year, and I know some people are going to find that very odd. So first off, Wednesday is a mess. Wednesday will be maxed out with exhibitors. If you watched our video last year, we talked about this. We've helped exhibitor friends set up their booths before and seen how this works. The line is capped in about 20 seconds. It's one of the things that a lot of podcast video guides, they don't like to talk about. Before I knew this, in my first years, I would ask people questions, say, well, how did you get your Hasbro exclusive on preview night? And they'd say, oh, I ran there. I just walked really, I got in line, and we firsthand saw the line capped within 15 to 20 seconds, and it's just a mashing of bodies. So preview night, we don't mess with. Now, to go back to the point of how things change, though, ironically, last year, preview night, after we made a video saying avoid it at all costs, was when we were able to get our exclusives. And the way it worked is, how it happens sometimes at Comic-Con is we're set up to go split. My wife, Carmel, she was heading over to Hallmark. I was hitting Gentle Giant, some other exclusives, and all of a sudden she texts me that she's in line for Hasbro. I'm like, that's not the plan. Like, what are you doing? Well, they had decided to move the line against the wall on preview night for whatever reason, after not having done that for many years. And all of a sudden she was in a mass of like 1,000 bodies with security ripping people off physically. and all massed in there together, and everybody just trying to hold their place, you know. And then it was like, well, is she going to get to the front of the line? Is it going to happen? And she did, and it was amazing. I got to tell you, there's as an exclusive hunter, I don't think there's any better feeling for me ever at Comic-Con than having Wednesday night just being done with that topic and not worrying about it Thursday, Friday. That being said, looking at then Thursday, the trend with all things Comic-Con has been lining up earlier and earlier and earlier. And one of the bad things about doing these videos is a lot of things we say, then people take it and etch it back. So if we say be in line by 6 a.m., people are in line by 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. or 3 a.m. That being said, last year, Thursday, we saw a lot of people with not so great results that lined up at 6 a.m. And Thursday in general, 5 a.m. even was really messy. A lot of people kind of treating it more like a Hall H experience and camping out overnight. So our recommendation this year is go with Friday. Friday, there should still be most everything available. And again, there's daily allocations and show allocations, and we'll get into a little bit more of that in a second. But if you keep an eye on things, again, monitor social media, see what else is going on. But right now, going into it, that's our plan. We'll see. Who knows? Maybe we'll get it on preview night again. But the plan going in for us is Friday morning and being in line by 6 a.m. at the latest. And being in line, not pulling into the convention center, but actually being physically in the line, which conveniently from where we're recording is going to be right out over here. So a couple things now of where you're going to go in line. There's going to be two lines in the morning. There's the Hall H line and there's the Everything Else line. Don't let the other Everything Else line scare you, because that's going to be Ballroom 20, 6AB, every other exclusive, swag, floor. It's going to be everything else, obviously. There will be a big number of Hasbro people in it, but obviously not all of them. So you'll line up kind of behind, over closest to the Hilton Bayfront there. You'll see, as with anything, ask. We've had people move us at the last second in the morning. Pre 6 a.m., they're going to keep you outside, so be ready for that. Once 6 a.m. hits, everybody will start making their way in the convention center, unless, again, things change. As you make your way into the convention center, you're going to go up the escalator, and you're going to land. You're going to be on the other side of the convention center, but you'll be here at the sales pavilion. Now, in the sales pavilion, when you come up the escalator, some people are going to go to the right, some people are going to go to the left. You'll want to go to the right. Go into sales pavilion, out the back door, and just constantly keep asking questions. You know, I'm going to the Hasbro booth. You'll see the Hasbro employees, check out the map, all that stuff. Check it out preview night Thursday. If you are following our advice and going with it Friday, you can check it out Thursday morning, do kind of a dry run to see how everything works. But again, ask. But historically what happens then, they line you up outside the back here, and it will just line like crazy all the way down this set of stairs that we're behind here. And so it can go to, you know, literally down the marina. So as we're thinking about, and any line really, Comic-Con could go down the marina or down the bay here. I mean, they go crazy like that. And if you've been a veteran attendee, you know that. If it's new, this might be something to start checking out some videos to get used to just the sheer mass of people that are going to be there. One thing to note, a temptation a lot of times for people is to try and jump in right back here. So if I'm staying down at the Hilton, or I'm staying at the Marriott or the Manchester, it seems to make sense, like I'll just go up these stairs. Beware, this will all be blocked off and there'll be security here. Not to say that people don't jump it sometimes and make it, and if you could, well, you'll probably be in a better place in line. But 9 times out of 10, they're gonna catch you. That's not gonna work. You're not gonna be able to do that. So you just wanna line up with the Everything Else line, make your way into the convention center, go upstairs and get in line. And what you're getting in line for then in the morning is not the exclusives. You're getting in line for basically the Hasbro Golden ticket. You're getting in line for a ticket that's going to give you a time slot to come to the actual Hasbro booth on the floor later in the day. So you'll line up. You'll be scared that you're not going to get a ticket. You'll be scared that you're going to ticket for 4 in the afternoon, which could mean all the stuff for the daily allotments are sold out then. And so there's a lot of fear that goes with it, but you just don't know. You're going to get to the front of the line, ultimately get your ticket. Once you get your ticket, the nice thing is you're locked in. You can report to the booth anytime after your ticket. They're in hour increments. So if it says 1 p.m. that day, you can show up at 2 or 3. Obviously, you probably want to be there at 1 though to get in right away. And as long as there's room, they'll let you in. Now, just a word of warning, your ticket may say 1 and you get there and the line is capped internally and you're like, well, I have a ticket. What they'll make you do, which sounds silly if you've never seen it, but just walk around the booth like duck, duck, goose, and you just keep walking in a circle around the booth, and then all of a sudden they'll be like, okay, we can take 5 people, and you jump in line. And so it seems odd, seems silly, but it is the way it is. Obviously there's rules, regulations, and fire marshal and everything else, and they got to keep people moving. So sometimes you'll just notice, if you've ever seen the swirling vortex around the the Hasbro booth, that is what it is. Okay, so now once you are in the line, you'll probably will have grabbed this beforehand. I mean, I would grab this on Wednesday to start taking a look at it, and you'll see it has various items, the prices include tax, it has the limits on them. So you have to make plans, you know, going into it of who you're buying for, what you're buying for. You know, if you want the gym doll and you have a friend that wants one, it's a limit 1. So hopefully you're both in line. Or the Magic the Gathering set, you know, it's limit 1. And so these are things that you have to kind of plan ahead of time for. Also, even if it says in stock here, once you're in line, you could be one person out from the booth and all of a sudden they run out of your stock. One year for us, we had forgotten to make arrangements with our credit card company in advance, and we get to the front of the line and we're buying our stuff and our cards declined because, you know, the company was like, why are you spending $800 on, you know, G.I. Joe and Transformers or whatever? So now we have to step to the side and call them, and they're holding our stuff there. Well, that was really bad. We recommend calling your company. If you followed us on social media, we've already recommended that. That was really bad. You don't want to be in that situation. But just for us, luckily, as we were out of line, all of a sudden back in stock came the X-Factor, the X-Force, you know, the Archangel, the really cool set from a couple years ago. And it was like, it was out of stock. If everything would have gone the way it should have, we would have paid, left the booth, it would have come back into stock. You know, there's no way to really time that, and it is worrisome. You do have the right, if you're in line and they sell out of your item and they're saying that it's going to be in stock tomorrow, you could just leave and now you're first in line for Saturday. And so it's something to consider there. A lot of times people think, well, I have to do it this time. I mean, again, check with everybody at the booth, make sure that that all works and that it's kosher and that you'll be okay. Now, one thing as you're filling this out, and it's good to have people that you can trade with, have friends, have line companions. If you don't have someone that you're going to go to the show with already that can serve in that role, use social media now. You can tweet me, we'll retweet it, help you connect with somebody, but you want to have some companions there to make your way through the line, to maybe buy, maybe they're in the Mattel line, you're in the Hasbro line, and you can trade things afterwards. One thing to remember, if it's a good friend, family, you know, you make trade arrangements probably for the real value of things. If it's just kind of a random person you met off social media, though, remember that value is relative, and once it gets into your hand, you have to consider the value that it takes to get it. So for example, if I have an Ever After doll from Mattel and it's selling for 150 bucks on eBay, but I paid 30, a lot of times people will say, well, I want to buy it off you for 30 at the show, you know, and it's like, well, there was a lot of labor that went into it. It's 150 on the market. So it's just something to kind of consider as you're looking to make trades. A lot of times when people contact us on social media during the convention, they want to make really unreasonable trades. Is they want to trade something that they paid 20 bucks for, the other person paid 20 bucks for, but in the end the market for this is 30 bucks and the market for this is 100 bucks, and that doesn't always work out. But having some sort of line partner, companion can really help you split the work order. For me, it's really great with Carmel. We kind of are able to split up as a team. If we're in line for something at the same time, we can get 2 of them, take care of other friends, family, you know, it works out really well. And so having that. One thing to remember too, in line as you're filling this out, you're probably going to be asked 5, 6, 7 times to buy things for people. So there'll be people outside the line, there'll be people in the line, and they'll say, well, you know, how many of those Transformer sets are you going to buy? And you're like, well, I'm going to buy 1. Well, can you buy 1 for me? I'll give you the cash right now. I'm a little jaded on it. Usually they're scalpers, and so they want to buy it off you for 50 bucks and then go sell it for 200 bucks. It's your call, but be prepared, have a mindset of what you're going to do for that. For us, we're just buying for our own immediate friends and family. We're not buying for anybody else in line. We just, you know, no, sorry, we can't do that for you. But there will be that. Everything in Comic-Con, there'll be that. We had a friend years ago that bought about 20 of the Lego minifigures for about 20 bucks a piece and was selling them for like 400 or 500 bucks on eBay at the time. And he was just standing off the mat, hey, do you want that? Nah, you know, trade it in. So you just have to be aware. Again, there's a lot of people there that are doing this as a business, and you just want to be ready and mentally prepared if you're going to do that for them. Last thing about the partners is another thing to consider is the bags are so humongous. We see a lot of people get what we call shipwrecked, and meaning they bought all their stuff and they walk out the queue and now they've got so many bags they literally physically can't carry them anywhere, and they don't trust anybody because people will steal their stuff. So now they're sitting there with like 8 giant bags and they can't move. So have a plan for that. Somebody needs to be either in line with you to help you carry stuff or waiting at the end of line. Somehow, even if you're going to Comic-Con all by yourself, which a lot of people do, you have to have some sort of person that you can connect with, that you're going to help each other out to get it out of there. Last year, our Hasbro haul, there was 3 of us, and it took all 3 of us overwhelmed carrying the stuff out of there because there's just some huge packaging, and you have to plan for that. The Magic Gathering set was, you know, this small of cards, but then it came with this giant axe thing, and the box was, you know, huge. And so plan accordingly, have somebody ready for you. Last thing then, after all of this work, it's just the consideration now, is this all worth it to you? If you're a veteran of Comic-Con, of Hasbro in particular, you're probably not even watching this video at this point. You know the game, you've got a plan, you're good. But the people that are watching this video usually are like, well, I really want that pony or that Transformer or that today they announced it's going to be the first Star Wars The Force Awakens figure is going to hit at the Hasbro booth, and you know, maybe that's the only thing you want. And so you have to consider then the value of time too. There's really nothing more important in my estimation in life than time, and at Comic-Con it's a very finite amount of time that you're there, and so what's the value of it? So you may want to check eBay in some cases. If there's one thing you want there and you see before the convention it's going for $50 over the value or over the price, maybe that's worth it for 6-7 hours and losing sleep. That's probably a really good price for the value of your time. I know sometimes there's a reticence about using something like eBay, 'cause it's like, well, I don't want to pay that. They bought it for 30. I don't want to spend 100 on it. But maybe that differential was worth all the time. So it's just something to consider as you're kind of making your plans. For us, Hasbro will probably be part of the plan this year. I've got to say, they've been announcing things late. There's less there that I'm into or really feel I need, quote unquote, this year than ever. Last year it was a definite must. It was no doubt about it. This year, I want the Marvel Legends set. I want the Black Series Trooper, but there's no way that that's going to be the only place that they're going to release a Stormtrooper for The Force Awakens. It'll be different packaging, but you know, is it something I really need? So I don't know, we'll see. Maybe I won't see you in the Hasbro line this year. We'll see as it comes a little bit closer and once the final announcements are there. But for you, that has to be a consideration. For me, Funko is not worth it. I'm just not into it enough, and if there is something I'm so into, the aftermarket value isn't so high. Maddie, super easy to get aftermarket in most cases. Those are things I'll measure that way, but I've spent a lot of time thinking about my time at Comic-Con and how I want to spend it, and I would encourage you to do so as well. If Hasbro's got a bunch of things for you, then you'll definitely be there, and it should be a battle, but it should be a very sweet reward when you get it. And that at its heart, when I tell people what Comic-Con is about, there's no show that is more of a hassle than San Diego Comic-Con. Everything, parking, hotel, everything's a hassle. Everything's a hassle, but it's also why there's such a sweet reward, is it feels really fulfilling. Nothing gives that kind of rush of adrenaline, and you know, to be honest, nothing feels better than getting to the end of that Hasbro line and having your exclusives. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up there, and maybe we'll see you in line at the Hasbro booth at Comic-Con.